Hey guys, today is March the 18th of 2023 and I wanted to go over the energy sector. So without any further delay, let's get into the chart. As you can see, this is the monthly chart and we have broken out of this accumulation distribution phase on crude oil WTI and crude oil Brent. Same pattern, pressures to the downside. Now RBOB is interesting. It's still within the inside monthly bar, so it hasn't even broken. It's just kind of still consolidating. You see that heating oil, the pressures to the downside. I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of support somewhere around here if it ever gets down there. And natural gas inside bar. So it hasn't really sold off, but it hasn't really like broke out. It tried, but it failed. And ethanol pretty much, range bound. Okay, so this is the weekly chart, and you can see that there was a long consolidation, broke out. Same thing here on WTI and Brent. And here is kind of grinding higher, but still in a holding pattern. And heating oil just pushing lower. And you can see that we're in a holding pattern here, kind of sideways price action, also with ethanol. This is our Uranium Futures, UX2, and you can see this is the weekly chart. And so far, weakness has started to kick in again. This is a trend line that's here, but they could probably pull down and maybe touch this bottom over here and then bounce back up, or maybe just hold here. But nothing's really changed here, besides that it's just going down. There's some weakness, and this is the daily price action. So let's see if this holds. I know there's a 45 degree that's testing this uranium spot. So I am curious to see if we could bounce and push higher and take out at least 52. If we could take out 52, that would indicate that we crossed above the 45, which is a major resistance level. And then it looks like maybe we want to, retest the highs. But as of right now, it's just kind of dwindling down, kind of finding support at this trend line. All right, so this is our simple glance. We're going to start off with Brent. As you can see, we lost the point of control, which is a 7703. And this key level, 7645. Now the pressure looks like it's to the downside. If it's going to push lower, the value area low is 6279, also in conjunction with the linear regression channel. So this could be an area I'll be interested to if I was trading this to maybe build a small position. But if that doesn't hold, then you got this key level right here, 5146. But that's a bigger picture. We got to see if it ever gets down there. Looking at the weekly, what I see as support coming up is this 200 SMA on the weekly. Somewhere around 7019. I almost kissed it. But the pressure's still to the downside. MACD just crossed over. Volume was very violently high in favor for the bears. So it was an ugly day. Linear regression channel pointing down. Big picture is still, positive, but kind of heading towards the wrong direction. Unless this is going to be another leg up here. Mid time frame below the clouds, so very short-term negative, mid-term negative, and then short-term very negative. So we'll see if this is going to hold. See that it's finding support the linear regression channel on the daily. What's interesting is that the sentiment was going up, and you can see this back and forth until it broke, and you can see the MACD gave us clues as of March the 7th that it's just been giving us clue. I'm not going to say it's giving us clue that it was going to come down because it was just back and forth. So I'll be honest. It was just more of a chop fest, but this was probably the last one. But who knows? This was going to be it. The weekly will kind of give you a better gauge, and that's what just happened now. Let's look at crude and see what's going on there. As you can see, A couple of things I find interesting on the crude on the monthly is that one, we hit the Tom D. Mark knife monthly candle, as you can see, 9 with with the arrow. On top of that, there's the 50 SMA on the monthly, which is at 6507. Although you cracked the point of control and you cracked this key level 6845, there is some kind of support there on that moving average. If that doesn't hold, then obviously the value area low 5822, and also in conjunction with this linear regression channel. And if that doesn't hold, 4174, which is very extreme, but we'll see. On the weekly, you can see that we kissed the weekly 200 SMA right here, and kind of hovering there. Didn't go below it, but we'll see next week how this plays out. And the MACD negative volume was very, very bearish. And on the daily, you're trying to find support on this linear regression channel, and maybe it may bounce, find resistance here, go back, or go to the mid mean here, and then maybe do another leg lower. We'll see. But so far, the weakness and pressure is to the downside on crude. Heating oil. Heating oil. There's a lot of, it's kind of missed. There's a lot of support down here, but it didn't really get that far in, and it's trying to stay afloat and try to maybe go above 268, which is a key level right here from the cloud. To kind of pull back and bounce right back up, but we'll see. There's a lot of support down in there. It hasn't gone down there yet. We're on an 8th monthly candle. On the weekly, you can see that it really didn't get as far as the 200 compared to the crude oil. So let's see if this was the a low and maybe turn up there. The MACD is still positive. Volume wasn't as bad compared to the others, but it was still negative. But the trend is obviously, down, and midterm is weak below the cloud. Took out the value area low. And also right here, you can see that it tried to regain the value area low of 263. So far closed above it. So was this just a little capitulation and maybe, trend higher? We'll see. Price action is king, so let's see how it behaves next week. Natural gas. This is the interesting one. This is the one I'll probably leave because I'm going to make a separate video on this. Because I can see there's a lot of interest on this instrument in my channel, so I'm going to give you probably a better gauge on this. But as you know, this is the area that I will probably start accumulating or building a position, and so far it popped, pulled back, and it's now at the linear regression channel on the monthly. You can see that we got a PPS buy signal, and then it pulled back, but now it's kind of pushed a little lower, and the MACD is still positive, and volume is, was bearish, not compared to, not compare the week to March 6th, but pretty bearish, and probably has to do with all the, the energy selling off together brings pressure to the other ones. And on the daily, you lost point of control, which is 253. Value area low is $2.207. And now it's a little more on the weaker side, still with the MACD, negative. There's a lot of stuff lining up for next week. So like I said, I'll do a separate video just to cover natural gas, and we'll cover that. And the lastly is Mr. RBOB. Mr. RBOB. RBOB, I think, besides natural gas, are probably the strongest ones here. And there's a lot of support. Most of the crude broke their point of control, 230. You can see this has been trending higher, and then it kind of pulled back. It's still above the, even probably found support at the 239. And you can see that the MACD is going back and forth on the monthly. Now the weekly has turned negative. Volume was bearish, but not as very strong to the downside. But you can see that it did pull back and is now trying to, get back to the point of control, which is 250. So it closed at 249. So pretty much right smack in the middle. So it's going to be, it has to either break to the upside or to the downside. But there's a few indicators that, the MACD could probably push lower, but it could just probably cross over. So we'll see how next week goes. And you can see that on the daily, you found support at the cloud right here at 237-ish, around there. Linear regression channel. So, it could be one of those things where it oscillates back here and then finds support and maybe do a leg higher. That remains to be seen. But so far, buyers are defending this little area right here and accumulating and building a position on RBOB. So RBOB and natural gas are pretty interesting for next week's play. I know more about natural gas than RBOB, but I want to see if RBOB could at least push above the 50 here, linear regression channel, and the weekly 50%, which is at 310. If we could close above that, RBOB is going to be very interesting. Gas prices rising. I don't know what could that mean, but let's keep it in the radar. I think that's it. Yep, I cover them all. This is just a simple glance, just kind of giving you my thoughts, looking at all the time frames, monthly, weekly, and daily. And then, I do a separate video, which I'll probably pick. I'll probably pick two instruments. One is going to be natural gas, and the other one's going to be the dollar, because that one kind of affects currencies and the metals. I don't know about too much about energy, but we'll see. But I'm very interested in the dollar, or what could possibly play out next week or in the months to come. So I'm trying to kind of gauge on that dollar, which will kind of lead me to, ideas in regards to the metals of what could possibly play out. But the metals are pretty strong. Hopefully you have a great weekend. Enjoy your family and friends, and I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on the energy sector.